What is up, you guys? In this video, I want to talk to you about why revenue in your business really doesn't matter, and I want to talk to you about the power of margins. So with that being said, let's dive in. All right, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm so grateful for your time and your attention. In today's video, I want to talk to you about why revenue isn't really that important of a factor inside of your business. Now, disclaimer here, revenue is important. You always want to increase your revenue if you can. But listen, there are businesses out there that are doing $10 million a year that are huge from a top line revenue standpoint, and the owner's making $50,000 to $100,000 a year. Listen, if you have a $10 million business, you should be making a lot of bring home money, right?
Dollar bills, y'all.
And so I just want to dive into why top line revenue really isn't that important, and then I want to get into more of the nitty gritty. So I created a video a couple weeks back about how I'm going to hit $1 million in revenue in my business this year. And it's a really catchy title, and you can riff on it, and it's fun to talk about, and it's fun to cast vision and set goals. The reality is, even though that is important, it's just really not as important as your profit. So there's revenue, which is top line revenue, how much money my business brings in, and then there's profit, which means after all my expenses, what's left for the taking. Okay, I want to tell you why that is so much more important than top line revenue, and it comes down to one word, and that is margins. Everybody needs to understand this one thing. If you don't deeply understand margins, you don't understand business. Margins are the name of the game. If you can increase your margins, you can essentially not grow your business at all and be way more profitable. I would rather have a business that does $200,000 a year in top line revenue and bring home $150,000 of that than have a business that does $1 million a year and bring home only $50,000 of that. And so the $1 million business that has $50,000 a year in profit, that business only has 5% profit margins. Or the $200,000 business that does $200,000 in top line revenue that you're bringing home $150, that has 75% margins. So if you have good margins, you can start really focusing on growing your top line revenue. But if you have really terrible margins, then I would encourage you not to focus so much on growing your business, but actually increasing your margins. So what I want to take the next 4 or 5 minutes and really just kind of explain some realizations that I've come across in just the last couple months about my own business to really increase our margins in a major way. And so in 2022, I've talked to you guys about this. We did around $723,000 in total top line revenue for the business. And so that comes out to just over $60,000 per month in revenue. Now, going back and looking, and a lot of you guys have asked me, okay, so Zach, how much money did you bring home? How much money do you make from your business? A lot of you may or may not know, but I'm actually a full-time pastor. And so I work 40 to 50 hours a week at the church because it's what I feel like I'm called to do. I love it. I'm passionate about it. And so I basically have hired out all the work that I would normally do inside the business as the owner. Okay. And so we pay more to labor, to administrative, sales, that sort of thing. So my margins on my business aren't as great as it would be if I was in the business, but it is a really sweet side hustle for me. And so our business last year did over $720,000 in revenue, and our margins were around like 9 to 9.5%. Okay. Which means there was around $60,000 to $65,000 left after all expenses for me to pay myself or put back into the business. Some of that went back into the business with us getting new and updated tools, implementing new systems, and some of that went to me, right, as owner pay. Well, I've always thought like, well, man, how can I double the size of the business? Well, and I need to take it from $720,000 a year to $1.4 million a year. Essentially, the most logical way was that's what I need to do. But I found in the last couple months a really cool way to double the amount of money that we can bring home. So we ran like 9.5% margins last year. Well, across the board, our material costs have always come in around 30% of our sales. So let's say that we sell a $1,000 item. Across the board, in general, it's going to cost me $300 in materials to build that $1,000 item. For labor, for shop labor, for me paying the guys that actually build the stuff, for every $1,000 that they produce, they're getting paid around $200. Okay, so around 20% in labor costs. So in the last just 2.5 months, probably, I found a new wood supplier that is saving me over 38% on lumber. So when you think about lumber costs, when I'm looking at my material cost breakdown, lumber cost is a pretty large portion of that. Now, we still have lots of other things, right? We still have all of our consumables, sandpaper, saw blades, glue, screws, biscuits. We have all these other things, right, that make that up. But when I factor those numbers, what I realized was that my material costs were at 30%. With this increased lumber savings, we could take that from 30% to 25%. That doesn't seem like a lot. It's just 5%. But where does that extra 5% in savings go? It goes to the bottom line, right? So if we save 5% on material costs, we no longer have 9.5% margins. We now have 14.5% margins. So small incremental change with our material costs increases our profitability by 50%. Another thing is we've moved into a new shop. We have more improved systems, streamlined our operations. And as a result of that, we were paying 20% in labor to produce everything. The last 2 or 3 pay periods, we've been paying between 14 and 16% labor to produce. So they're actually more efficient, producing more per hour, okay? And so what that means is instead of paying 20% in labor, now we're just paying 15% in labor. And with that 5% increase in savings for labor, where does that go? It goes to the bottom line of my business. Just with these 2 changes alone, we've essentially gone from running 9.5% margins to 19.5% margins with the same size business. So let's say that our business did not increase at all this year, 2023. We still did $723,000 in revenue, but we were over twice as profitable. That means that $60,000 to $65,000 that was available for me to pay myself and put back into the business is now $130,000. And so when we talk about revenue and we talk about profit, it's so important to understand that revenue is important, but your margins are what really, really, really matter. And so now, here's what's beautiful, is that now that we've more than doubled our profitability, doing the same exact thing, now we can focus on really increasing top line revenue because we essentially doubled our profit with changing nothing. Now, let's say that we did get to 1.4 million, we would have 4x'd our profitability by doubling the size of the business, the top line revenue of the business, and doubling our margins. As you listen to this, I want to ask you a question. What can you do right now to increase the profitability inside of your business? And here's the challenge with this, is that everything that you're doing feels like it's exactly the way that you should probably be doing it. Maybe there's a couple things that you're incredibly aware of need to change, but I always felt like, man, 30% material costs, we're doing a great job at that. I didn't realize that we could get to 25%. At 20% labor costs, I was like, man, 20% labor costs is great. I didn't realize that we could get to 15% labor costs. With making these incremental changes, it can change the game in your business in a crazy way. With that being said, guys, if you need help growing your woodworking business and you are doing between $3,000 and $5,000 a month, be sure to check out the Woodworking Business Accelerator program below. It's an application. It's where we come in to your business, help you scale. And then if you are just starting out, if you're trying to get a handle on some marketing, some branding, getting yourself out there, you're going to want to check out the Handmade Hero Academy. It's a super low cost option to get in the game and start really growing your business. It's all the principles that I use to get my business to $10,000 per month. And it can help you. Like I said, it's $47 a month for 12 months. It's a very low cost option. You sell one high-end product as a result of the information that you've learned inside that program, and it's paid for itself. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.